Okay, so I'm going to go through the forecasting practice and kind of talk a little bit about on how I got through El Paso, Atlanta, as well as Minnesota or Minneapolis. So this is what we did in class the other day. We did cold front. If I look back up to St. Louis, we know there's a cold front right next to it. I thought that it was a maritime polar air mass because over here we have maritime polar kind of forming in the ocean and it's pushing towards the Rockies. And then that's kind of what we see here, like it's pushing towards the Rockies. Uh, it could even be continental polar as well if we um, really want to be kind of accurate. It might be both of them. Severe storms with gusty winds, so that's usually the weather associated with a cold front. And so after that cold front moves through the St. Louis area, it's going to cause the temperatures to go down. And then the weather conditions that I would predict afterwards, since colder air holds less moisture, it wouldn't be able to create as much as many cloudy conditions, and so we would end up with clear skies and cool, dry air. And so I'm going to go through El Paso, Atlanta, and Minneapolis right now. So for El Paso, first I find the location. Remember, I just start on the left side of my table and I work all the way to the right. And I kind of add each little piece in a bite-sized increment. So starting with El Paso, I look for an incoming front now. So El Paso's right here, kind of on the edge of Texas and New Mexico and Mexico down here. I see that there's a cold front. That's probably the closest one here. Remember the cold front, these triangles point in the direction that the cold front is moving. So the cold front is moving down towards El Paso. And so that would be the incoming front for El Paso. Even though it looks like this warm front over here is moving in the direction of El Paso as well, we see these semicircles that are pointing towards El Paso. That's the direction that it's moving. So it's actually heading in towards St. Louis and El Paso, Houston, Atlanta, Detroit, Minneapolis, etc. So basically headed into the Midwest. But cold fronts usually move a lot faster than warm fronts, and it's a little bit closer to El Paso. So that's why I chose the cold front here. For the incoming air mass, this is going to be the air mass that is behind the front or causing the front to occur. And so in this case, since I said in the previous one that it's maritime polar, I think that it formed out here and it kind of got cycled in and pushed down into the Midwest. I think this is going to be the same air mass as before. Since it's the same front, it's the same air mass. So it's going to be maritime polar or MP. The weather that's associated with these conditions, since it's the same front, it's a cold front, I'm going to flip back to this document, which had, this was slide 20 in the notes. So it had this little table where it compares cold and warm fronts, talks about what the air masses are doing, the weather that occurs during the fronts, the weather that occurs after the fronts, some drawings of the map symbols, as well as a drawing of like what's happening during the front, or like with the air masses in the front. And so I'm just going to type out the same thing that I did before. So we have severe storms with thunder and lightning, with gusty winds. It's going to be a cold front. The weather that we would expect will be the exact same. And so we see that the temperature will also decrease because as this air mass moves into an area, remember cold front has cooler air behind it. And so if we have warm temperatures out here and this cold air moves in, it's going to cause our temperatures to lower or to decrease. And then of course, after that cold front moves through, we will see cool, dry air move in with clear skies because that cooler air has less ability to hold moisture, which means that there will be less chance of clouds and clear weather. So that is for El Paso. That was my forecast. For Atlanta, Georgia, I'm going to first find a location. So again, starting left of the table and moving to the right, I'm going to find the location on the map. So looking on the United States map here, I see Atlanta sitting in Georgia right here. The next thing I'm going to look for is an incoming front. And so I see this incoming front right here. This is a warm front, as we can see in the key, as well as in the notes. We had talked about the solid red with the semicircles. That is the warm front. Semicircles point in the direction that it's moving, so it's actually moving in towards Atlanta. And so I'm going to write warm front. Now the air mass that is coming into this area, I'm going to flip back to the notes, and I'm going to try to figure out, okay, out of these 5 air masses that we have here, which one do I think is coming into that area? And I know that the front is kind of sitting right here on the map. So I would probably think that the air mass is going to be a maritime tropical air mass, since it's probably starting in the Gulf and pushing in towards Atlanta that way. So I'll write maritime tropical, or MT. And the weather that's associated with a warm front, if we flip back to slide 20, we'll see this document again. Again, looking at it, it says air mass collisions, weather during the front, weather after the front, the weather symbol, or a drawing of the weather symbol, and then a drawing of the front, what's happening during it. And so it says stratus low clouds create poor visibility. Clouds form with a steady light rain or snow because warm fronts move more slowly than cold fronts. The weather may be rainy or foggy for several days. So I will slide down here. I will say cloudy with gentle, and it's some sort of precipitation. So I need to figure out, is it going to be snow or is it going to be rain? So just looking at the temperatures quick around this warm front, I noticed that it's around the 80s, so it's probably not going to be snow. So I'm going to say cloudy with gentle rain. Cloudy with gentle rain, and that may continue for a couple days. Continue for a couple days. The temperatures afterwards, since it is a warm front, we have warm air or warmer air behind this front line here. And as it moves in, it's going to cause that the air in front to increase in temperature because it's going to be replaced by warmer air. So temperatures are going to increase. And then looking back at this, it says warm air or warm humid air moves in. So I'm going to write warm, humid air moves in, period. Okay. So my forecast for Atlanta, Georgia is that there's a warm front coming in with a maritime tropical air mass. When that front arrives, it will create cloudy conditions with gentle rain that may continue for a couple of days. The temperatures afterwards, or after the front moves past Atlanta, will increase, and the warm, humid air will move into that area. For Minneapolis, again, I have to find it on the map. So looking at my map here, Minneapolis is sitting right above Iowa, right in Minnesota there. And so the next step is to find the incoming front. So again, looking at it, I see this blue line here. That is my cold front line. So we have cold front. Again, the air mass that we had thought that this, or that is responsible for this front was the maritime polar. And I could look back at the map here and try to figure out, okay, what air masses are forming here. I think it was probably a maritime polar, and it just kind of got pushed in through the Rockies that way. And so I'm just going to stick with the same air mass that I had for my cold fronts before, because it's the same cold front, so it'll be the same air mass that is causing it to occur. So maritime polar, again, same temperatures, or excuse me, same conditions that St. Louis and El Paso will get when they when the cold front hits that location. So it's going to be severe storms with thunder, lightning, and with gusty winds. So I'm just going to copy and paste that down in Minneapolis. Again, temperatures will decrease as the cooler air behind the front line moves into Minneapolis. It's going to replace that warmer air that is currently in Minneapolis, and it'll be about 70s or so. So it's going to be a little bit cooler. And then afterwards, we can expect cool, dry air moves in with clear skies because it'll be the exact same as St. Louis and El Paso. So those were how I would forecast these 4 locations. We'll have plenty more opportunities to forecast in the future, and we'll also talk about the occluded front and stationary fronts a little bit later when they kind of pop up. So hope this was helpful. If you have questions, I will be in the Google Meet on today during 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 7th period, as well as after school from 2:45 to 3:30. So if you need assistance with forecasting, just let me know, and I'd be happy to help you out.